There is a silence within history, a silence so carefully constructed that most people mistake it for truth. It lies not in the absence of events, but in the deliberate erasure of knowledge that once illuminated civilizations, shaped their destinies, and guided their relationship with the cosmos. When we say, this hidden knowledge was erased from history but explains everything, we are not speaking in metaphor alone. We are acknowledging that the story handed down to us is fractured, missing entire layers of understanding, as though a great library were burned and its ashes scattered across time. Imagine for a moment that human history is a vast tapestry. We are shown only the sections deemed acceptable: wars and victories, kings and empires, discoveries and inventions. But woven between those bright and bloody threads are patterns that have been snipped away, leaving holes where deeper truths once lived. The erased knowledge is not trivial. It is foundational. It concerns the nature of consciousness, the hidden energies that shape matter, the principles of harmony that once guided ancient societies. It is the understanding that life is not random chaos, but ordered by laws far older and more profound than the laws written in books. Why would such knowledge be erased? Power thrives in ignorance. If people remember that they are not mere accidents of flesh and circumstance, but luminous beings connected to a cosmic order, they cannot be easily controlled. Institutions that built their authority on fear and scarcity would falter if humanity reclaimed the wisdom of its own divinity. Thus, the erasure was not an accident of time, but a strategy of dominion. Knowledge was hidden, forbidden, sometimes destroyed outright, to ensure that generations would forget the key that unlocked their freedom. Yet fragments remain, in myths whispered around ancient fires, in symbols carved into stone, in scriptures altered but not completely silenced. The knowledge survives like embers waiting to be fanned into flame. The Hermetic principles of Egypt, the Vedic hymns of India, the teachings of the Gnostics, the cosmologies of indigenous peoples, all carry echoes of a truth too vast to die. Each fragment points to a hidden architecture of existence, that everything is interconnected, that thought shapes reality, that the microcosm reflects the macrocosm, and that humanity's purpose is not servitude but awakening. This hidden knowledge explains everything because it is the missing lens through which history, science, and spirituality align. Without it, we see a fractured world. Religion at war with reason, science divorced from meaning, individuals lost in alienation. With it, the fractures begin to heal. We see that science without spirit is blind, and spirit without science is rootless. We see that history is not a linear march from ignorance to enlightenment, but a cycle of remembering and forgetting. And we begin to sense that our own era is not merely another turn of progress, but an opportunity to restore what was erased, to rethread the missing patterns back into the tapestry. Consider how different life feels when you imagine that hidden knowledge. Suddenly, synchronicities are not accidents, but signs. Dreams are not illusions, but doorways. The movement of the stars is not irrelevant, but part of a cosmic rhythm that mirrors your own heartbeat. The struggles of your life are not meaningless burdens, but lessons designed to awaken a deeper strength. This shift of perspective is not an indulgence in fantasy. It is a return to a way of seeing that guided entire civilizations before being suppressed. To step into this exploration is to accept a certain risk. You cannot unsee what you will see, cannot unknow what you will know. Once you glimpse the erased knowledge, the ordinary explanations of life begin to crack, and the deeper architecture reveals itself. It can be unsettling, for it demands responsibility. You can no longer blame blind chance for your existence. But it is also liberating, for it restores dignity, coherence, and wonder to your place in the cosmos. The erasure was never complete. It could not be, for the truth is too deeply woven into the fabric of being to be destroyed. It remains hidden in plain sight, waiting for those willing to look. And perhaps the reason you are reading these words now is because some part of you has already remembered, however faintly, that there is more to this world than the version written in official histories. Perhaps the knowledge has been whispering to you in dreams, in questions you could not silence, in the sense that something essential has been missing all along. This introduction is but the opening of the veil. What follows is an attempt to articulate the core of this hidden knowledge, not as dogma, not as nostalgia, but as living truth that breathes through you even now. We will explore the themes that form its essence, the symbols that encode its memory, the ways it can be integrated into daily life, and the transformation it calls you toward. For now, hold this thought gently. History as you know it is not the full story. The missing chapters were not lost by accident. They were erased, and yet they live on, waiting to be remembered. To understand what it means when we say this hidden knowledge was erased from history, but it explains everything, we must first unravel the strands of what that knowledge contained. Though the original forms have been fragmented, suppressed texts, burned libraries, silenced voices, the essence of these teachings has never vanished. It survives as echoes across traditions, recurring patterns that emerge like constellations in different skies. These themes are the pillars upon which ancient civilizations built their sense of place within the cosmos, and they're the same themes that, once remembered, begin to dissolve the fractures of modern life. The first theme is the principle of interconnectedness. Ancient wisdom spoke of a universe woven like a great web, where every thread vibrates in response to another. Indigenous traditions described it as the circle of life, Eastern philosophies as a Tao, Hermetic teachings as a law of correspondence. As above, so below. The knowledge erased from mainstream history was this recognition that nothing exists in isolation. The stars above are not distant ornaments, but reflections of patterns unfolding within us. To forget this truth is to live as though severed from the whole, alienated from nature, from each other, and even from ourselves. To remember it is to rediscover belonging, not as sentiment, but as structure, the very architecture of existence. Flowing from this is the theme of consciousness as the ground of reality. Modern thought often insists that matter comes first, and consciousness is a byproduct, a trick of neurons firing the brain. But erased knowledge reverses this. Consciousness is primary, the field from which matter crystallizes. This was not abstract speculation, but living insight for ancient cultures. Their temples, rituals, and stories were constructed as technologies of consciousness, ways to align the human mind with the cosmic mind. To suppress this idea was to cut humanity off from its own creative power, to reduce us to passive observers in a mechanical universe. But to remember it is to realize that our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are not private echoes, but active forces shaping the worlds we inhabit. The third theme is cyclical time. Hidden knowledge understood history not as a straight arrow from primitive to advanced, but as a cycle of rising and falling, remembering and forgetting. Civilizations wax and wane. Knowledge emerges and is lost, and through it all there runs a deeper rhythm, like the tides of a cosmic ocean. The Vedic text spoke of yugas, vast ages in which humanity ascends into light or descends into darkness. The Mayans charted cosmic cycles with uncanny precision. Even Plato hinted at forgotten civilizations swallowed by time. To erase this cyclical vision was to confine us to a linear narrative, one that flatters our present moment as the pinnacle of progress, even as it blinds us to recurring patterns of decline and renewal. To restore it is to see that we are not at the end of history, but at one turn of a spiral, with the possibility of remembering what was lost. A fourth theme is a law of resonance, the idea that energy attracts like energy, that the inner state of a person aligns with outer circumstances. Hermetic philosophy captured this with the principle of vibration. Everything is in motion, and harmony or dissonance is determined by frequency. Ancient rituals, chants, and symbols were not superstition, but tools to shift resonance, to tune the individual and the community into alignment with higher orders of reality. The erasure of this knowledge rendered such practices as mere folklore or mysticism, stripping them of their true significance. To reclaim it is to understand why synchronicities occur, why emotions shape health, why collective belief can sway the course of societies. The final theme is human potential itself. The erased knowledge taught that human beings are not small creatures crawling on a rock in space, but fractal reflections of the cosmos, possessing within us the same creative spark that animates galaxies. The Egyptians spoke of becoming gods through knowledge of Ma'at, the principle of cosmic order. The Gnostics declare that the divine spark lives within every person, awaiting awakening. The yogis of India described the latent energy, Kundalini, that rises to unite the individual with the infinite. To erase this was to reduce humanity to subjects, dependent on external authorities for meaning and salvation. To remember it is to reclaim sovereignty, to realize that awakening is not reserved for saints and sages, but is the birthright of all. These themes are not separate but interwoven. each pointing to the same hidden architecture, that the universe is alive with intelligence, that we are participants in its unfolding, and that our lives gain coherence only when seen in relation to the whole. Without this lens, everything appears fragmented. Science and religion argue, individuals compete, societies drift into alienation. With it, the fragments align into a larger pattern, and the mysteries of existence no longer seem random but purposeful. This, then, is why we say the hidden knowledge explains everything. It is not that it provides simple answers to every question, but that it restores a framework within which all questions make sense. It heals the divide between matter and spirit, between self and cosmos, between history and destiny. Its erasure left us wandering in pieces. Its remembrance offers a possibility of wholeness. When knowledge is forbidden, when truths are erased, they rarely vanish completely. Instead, they take refuge in symbols, stories, and myths, slipping past the censors of history in the guise of fable or allegory. It is here, in the language of parable and metaphor, that the erased wisdom still speaks. To understand it, one must learn to read beneath the surface, to see myths not as primitive fantasies, but as encrypted codes carrying truths too dangerous to be spoken outright. Consider the story of the phoenix, the bird consumed by fire only to rise again from its own ashes. To most it is a tale of rebirth, but hidden within it is the memory of cyclical time, the great ages of rise and fall. Civilizations like the phoenix burn and crumble, yet from their ruins the knowledge rises again, clothed in new forms. The erased wisdom is not gone. It is reborn with each age, awaiting rediscovery by those with eyes to see. The phoenix is not only myth, but a mirror of humanity's own forgotten history. Or take the allegory of the labyrinth. In Greek mythology, the labyrinth housed a minotaur, a beast both feared and revered, and only Theseus with his thread could navigate its winding paths. The labyrinth is the mind, complex and full of illusions, where the beast of ignorance lurks. The thread is a hidden knowledge, the subtle line of truth that leads one safely through the confusion of appearances. To erase that thread is to condemn humanity to wander endlessly in circles, mistaking walls for reality. To remember it is to rediscover the way out, to emerge into the open air of awakening. The story of Prometheus also carries the echo of suppression. He stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity, an act of rebellion that earned him eternal punishment. Fire here is not mere flame, but the light of knowledge, the spark of consciousness, the recognition of human potential. Prometheus' punishment is a reminder what happens when forbidden truths are shared. Those who reveal them are bound, ridiculed, or silenced, yet the gift once given cannot be taken back. The flame still burns in the hands of humanity, however dimly, and every act of remembering rekindles it. Even the biblical story of Eden holds symbolic layers. The tree of knowledge is often portrayed as a source of downfall, but what if the real danger lay not in eating the fruit, but in being taught to fear knowledge itself? What if the exile from Eden is the metaphorical erasure of wisdom, the conditioning to see ourselves as guilty, small, and cut off from the divine? The serpent, the fruit, the fall, all may be symbolic disguises for a deeper truth, that humanity once possessed knowledge of its own divinity and was taught to forget it. To reclaim the hidden knowledge is to return, not to the garden of innocence, but to the realization of conscious unity with the source. Beyond myth, symbols etched in stone also whisper what was erased. The pyramids align with celestial bodies, encoding knowledge of cycles and resonance. Mandalas mirror the fractal geometry of existence. The Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail, speaks of the eternal return, the unbroken circle of time. These images were not mere decorations, but keys. When direct teaching was forbidden, symbols became the vessels of transmission, silent yet enduring. They survive the flames of libraries because they are carved in places no empire can easily erase. Stone, ritual, and the human psyche itself. There is also the symbolic narrative of dreams. Many ancient cultures regarded dreams not as illusions, but as bridges to higher realities, places where the erased knowledge continued to whisper. In dreams, one can encounter ancestors, receive teachings, and glimpse the structure of worlds beyond waking perception. To modern minds conditioned to dismiss dreams as random, this seems naive. Yet to those who remember, dreams are the hidden archives where erased wisdom survives. What is forgotten by day often returns in symbols by night, encoded in imagery that bypasses the rational mind. These symbolic narratives all converge on a single point. The erased knowledge could not be killed, only hidden. It went underground, into story and symbol, into the subconscious and the sacred. The myths we grew up hearing as fanciful tales are in truth encrypted manuals for awakening. The symbols we pass by as relics are in truth living maps pointing toward the architecture of reality. The dreams we dismiss are in truth messages from the deeper self, urging us to remember what history tried to erase. To listen to these stories with new ears is to realize that humanity has never been entirely cut off from the truth. The knowledge is there, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be decoded. And once we learn to read the language of symbol and allegory, the erased wisdom reveals itself everywhere. In the myths of gods and heroes, in the rituals of forgotten tribes, in the very patterns of nature. It is not lost, it is veiled. And to lift the veil is to awaken to a world far richer than the one described by official histories. To speak of hidden knowledge erased from history is to risk leaving it in the realm of abstraction, as though it belonged only to myths, ruins, or ancient symbols. But knowledge, true knowledge, demands embodiment. It is not merely to be contemplated but lived, not merely to be remembered but practiced. If the wisdom that explains everything is to mean anything at all, it must take root in the soil of everyday life. Otherwise, it remains another romantic tale, admired but impotent. The challenge before us is not only to uncover the erased truths, but to weave them back into the fabric of our daily existence. Consider first the principle of interconnectedness. To live with this awareness is to move through the world with a sense that no action is trivial, no thought without consequence. When you realize that every word you speak ripples outward, affecting not only the listener but the entire web of being, your speech becomes more deliberate. When you remember that the health of a forest, the flow of a river, the balance of an ecosystem is not separate from your own well-being, your choices shift. What you eat, what you consume, how you live. Integration begins in the smallest of acts. Choosing compassion in a moment of anger, pausing to breathe before reacting, honoring the invisible threads that bind you to others and to the earth. Living the primacy of consciousness demands another kind of shift. Instead of treating thoughts as idle or emotions as incidental, you begin to see them as creative forces. Fear, resentment, despair. These states tune you toward heavy realities. Gratitude, courage, clarity. These states align you with lighter ones. Integration here means cultivating practices that stabilize your awareness. Meditation not as an escape, but as daily hygiene for the mind. Journaling not as record-keeping, but as dialogue with your deeper self. Prayer not as begging for the divine, but as aligning with its frequency. In living this way, you reclaim responsibility for the reality you inhabit, no longer blaming chance or circumstance for what unfolds. The cyclical view of time, once embodied, softens both arrogance and despair. Arrogance dissolves because you recognize that this age is not the pinnacle of progress, but one turn of a repeating cycle. Despair loosens because every decline carries within it the seed of renewal. In practice, this awareness cultivates patience and resilience. When faced with collective chaos, political upheaval, cultural decay, environmental crisis, you begin to see not only endings but beginnings, not only destruction but gestation. You learn to act responsibly in the present, while trusting that even the darkest seasons are part of a larger rhythm that bends toward rebirth. The law of resonance, once integrated, transforms your relationship with alignment. You begin to live less from external expectation and more from inner coherence. Instead of forcing outcomes, you learn to tune yourself, to act from a place of clarity, integrity, and authenticity, and watch as life arranges itself around your state of being. In practice, this means letting go of relationships, jobs, or habits that vibrate with dissonance, no matter how familiar they feel. It means daring to choose what resonates deeply, even if it frightens you. It means realizing that the external world is not random but reflective, a mirror polished by the frequency you embody. And then there's the hidden knowledge of human potential. To embody this is to reject a narrative of smallness that has been fed to you since birth. It is to live not as a passive consumer, but as a creator, not as a subject, but as a sovereign being. Practically, it looks like listening to your intuition rather than dismissing it, daring to follow dreams that others call impossible, cultivating the latent abilities, empathy, creativity, perception that have been numbed by distraction. It is also communal, remembering that every person you meet carries the same spark, the same potential for awakening. In this recognition, you begin to treat others not as obstacles or tools, but as fellow bearers of forgotten light. Integration does not demand perfection. It is not about living flawlessly, but about living awake. It is about remembering, moment by moment, that you are part of a larger whole, that your consciousness shapes your path, that time is cyclical, that resonance matters, that you carry within you the same power that carved mountains and set stars alight. Even the smallest act, breathing with awareness, speaking truthfully, choosing compassion, becomes an expression of the erased knowledge brought back into form. The world begins to change not when everyone knows these truths intellectually, but when enough people live them. A society built on interconnectedness would treat the earth not as a resource to be exploited, but as a partner to be honored. A culture that understands consciousness as primary would value inner development as highly as material achievement. A civilization that remembers cycles will prepare not only for growth, but also for decline. Treating each with wisdom, a people who embody resonance would cease to wage wars born of dissonance, seeking harmony instead. And individuals who reclaim their potential would no longer submit to systems built on fear, but would create new structures rooted in dignity and freedom. The erased knowledge is not a relic of the past, but a seed for the future. Its integration does not ask us to abandon the modern world, but to transform it, to infuse science with spirit, progress with wisdom, individuality with belonging. The practical work is not glamorous. It is humble and persistent. But each act of remembrance shifts the balance. Each choice to live awake rethreads a tapestry where history was once cut. We began with a whisper that somewhere in a vast record of human existence, knowledge was not merely forgotten, but deliberately erased. We trace its echoes through myths, symbols, cycles, and principles, discovering that what was hidden is not dead, but alive in fragments waiting to be reassembled. And now, standing here at the close of this journey, the question presses in, what will you do with it? Knowledge is only alive when it is remembered in the heart, enacted through the body, and carried into the world. To read of it is one thing, to live it is another. The erasure was effective because it did not only destroy books or silence voices. It convinced generations to mistrust themselves. It taught people to bow before authorities, to see themselves as small, to doubt their own experiences of mystery, intuition, and connection. The greatest victory of suppression was not the hiding of truths, but the training of minds to look away from them. To undo this erasure is not only to recover forgotten ideas, but to reverse the conditioning that makes you dismiss the evidence already before your eyes. Look around you. The principles of interconnectedness, consciousness, resonance, cycles, and potential are not abstractions. They are woven into every moment. When you feel the way one person's smile can change the atmosphere of a room, you are experiencing interconnectedness. When a single thought alters your mood and shapes your actions, you are experiencing the primacy of consciousness. When synchronicities cluster around you, when the right person calls at the right moment, you are witnessing resonance. When seasons turn and endings give way to beginnings, you're living the cycles. When you feel a stirring inside you, an untapped strength that rises when life tests you, you are encountering your hidden potential. The erased knowledge is not far away. It is as close as your breath. To integrate this remembrance is to step into a new kind of courage, for it means no longer waiting for permission to awaken. It means realizing that you are not merely a product of history. You are its continuation and its correction. The tapestry of time has holes where truths were cut away, but you are the thread that can mend them. Every act of remembrance, every moment of alignment, every choice of authenticity weaves back what was lost. The erasure is undone not by a single discovery and archive, but by millions of individuals remembering in their own lives, reclaiming the dignity that was stolen. The call now is transformation. Not transformation as escape, but as return. Return to belonging in the web of life. Return to the awareness that your consciousness shapes reality. Return to the rhythm of cycles, learning to move with them rather than against them. Return to the resonance of truth, living in harmony with yourself and others. Return to the recognition of your own divine spark, the potential that history told you to deny. This return is not regression. It is evolution, the spiral that carries us forward by remembering what was erased. Do not wait for leaders or institutions to hand this knowledge back to you. They will not. Many of them cannot, for their power depends on your forgetfulness. The responsibility is yours, but so is the freedom. Begin with small acts, noticing the patterns, trusting your intuition, living with integrity, honoring the cycles of your own life. These are not minor gestures. They are revolutionary. They are the way hidden knowledge re-enters the world, not in fanfare, but in the steady fire of awakened lives. And so, this is both the end and the beginning. The end of forgetting, if you choose it. The beginning of remembrance, if you dare it. You carry within you the very knowledge that was erased, for it was never external to begin with. It lives in your bones, in your breath, in your capacity to see the world not as fragments, but as a whole. The invitation is simple, though not easy. Live as though the knowledge were never erased. Live as though you belong. Live as though consciousness creates. Live as though cycles teach. Live as though resonance matters. Live as though you are divine. Because you are. This hidden knowledge was erased from history, but now it explains everything. And it is yours to remember.